welcome back. We're glad you are still with us. What is it like being in self-quarantine in another country? I want to speak to my first guest here tonight, Myra Anubi, a lady who moved to the UK just 5 weeks ago with her entire family, now in self-quarantine, and she's speaking to me live via Skype from the United Kingdom. Myra, thank you very much for speaking with us. So tell us, you are now in self-quarantine. You are awaiting testing, and that's important to just tell our viewers she has not been tested yet. Why haven't you been tested yet? What's the holdup?
Thank you, Yvonne. There's a procedure of how this is supposed to happen, and the government has been very clear about it, which is okay. We understand. So once you feel a few of these symptoms, like we did, like the sore throat and the cough, you're supposed to start by just isolating yourself, which is what we did, and then we called 111, which is the number that we're supposed to call on this end. And when we did that, they were very clear that we need to take a bit more time, just stay home, isolate, so that we don't infect anyone else. As you said earlier, it's hard to test everyone at the same time. Now, we've presented a few symptoms, and so far, we have to kind of wait and see what they say, but they have information, so they will be able to reach us in due time.
Okay, and tell me, how are you feeling? What are the symptoms that you are experiencing?
So it's been about 6 days now. When we started, when I first started feeling something, there was a sore throat and a cough, which I still have. And initially, it did just feel like any other kind of flu. And then suddenly there was a fever that was, you just feel like really hot constantly, and you're very uncomfortable, body pains. So the symptoms kind of start building on each other. The headaches are there. It kind of, in a way, also feels like malaria, but just an intense kind of malaria.
Okay, and you are now quarantined with your family. What is that like? I mean, just from an emotional point of view, you are there with your children and your husband. Just take us through what this is like as a family.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that I have them close one, but in the beginning it was because we didn't know what was happening. We thought maybe it was just a common flu or anything, but we were aware, of course, of what was happening in the country and just in the world. And what we decided to do was isolate, right? I was very worried as a mother about the kids, but I am with my children, I'm with my family here. We are doing our best to just try and, make sure that we are okay. But if you look at the kids, actually, they seem very fine. And this is one of the messages that I've seen going around in Kenya in many of the WhatsApp groups that I'm in. Many people are worried about their kids. It's not affecting younger people as much as it is as strongly as it is older people, because my kids are still playing. They seem fine. Yeah.
How is the self-quarantining being enforced, or how do they ensure that you stay home? Because that's been a big question. What is it like, self-quarantine in the United Kingdom?
Let me start by saying and admitting that in the beginning, we kind of all panicked. And in that panic, we were able to buy a supply and kind of have a house. So because of that, we've been fortunate enough to have food and all other things. The other thing that the government is doing here that's very clear is every day we're getting updates on what they're trying to do just to make sure that we kind of are safe as citizens here now, and that we know exactly what to do even as we isolate. So that's been reassuring in many ways. I think the other thing is, since people don't know what they're dealing with, we have to listen to the government, and because of that, and because people have kind of decided to be a bit disciplined about this, it's been easier to isolate. So many people are actually just staying home. Yeah.
Are you worried that they might not get to you in time to have you get tested?
I didn't quite get that.
Are you concerned about the time it's taking to get tested over this? Because you've been in quarantine for a week now, and you say that the government is, sort of dealing with those who are at greater risk. Are you worried about that? Because you're coughing and you have quite a few of the symptoms.
Yeah, okay. I have to say initially I was. But now I'm not. And it's really because they've been very clear, like I said, about what they're trying to do. And if my symptoms at any point are worse, I know that they can come down here immediately. So in the beginning, I was a bit scared, like I've said, about the kids. There were so many fears. I didn't understand what was happening, despite all the information, despite all the content that keeps circulating. Once you find out, oh my goodness, I'm presenting these symptoms, you kind of panic. And that's why I can understand many people are panicking right now. I'm not scared about how long they're taking to do this because, one, I'm seeing that the way I was about 3-4 days ago is not how I am now. There are days where I wasn't able to even just get out of bed. The fevers were intense. I think 2 days ago, I wasn't even able to eat. I had a really bad sore throat that then developed into something that felt like tonsils. And then it was just so I can see that I'm getting better and I can see it's going. I'm not worried. And I can understand what they're doing because they're trying to reach people who need more than that. And people have the line as well. So, yeah, I feel okay. I understand what's happening.
Okay, your final message to those who are going into self-quarantine. What do you tell them? People are saying, why should I? I'm not sick. I'm not, they want to go about their normal lives, especially here in Kenya.
Yeah, one of the things I would say is I can see already just by listening to what the government has said here and kind of following through with that, how it's helping in many ways. We have kids, we interact with neighbors. I have a neighbor here who's really nice. We have a grandmother who we haven't seen in weeks, which has been really hard, but you understand that she's at a higher risk than we are. So if you kind of follow through with what you're being told, you have to understand it's really the best chance, and not just for you, for your family, and for everyone else. I think one of the things I'd say for anyone who is kind of skeptical about isolating themselves right now, they need to do their family as well.
Okay, thank you. Myra Anubi, living in the United Kingdom in Watford, speaking to us about self-quarantining. Follow the government directive, she says. We might want to point out she's still awaiting testing while in the UK. Let's take the sports news next. Thank you, Myra, for speaking to us.